Hey everyone, welcome to another Croc Chat podcast episode where today we'll be chatting with Adeline Robinson of Adeline Robinson Art. And if you haven't seen her work before, then you have to watch this video. When you look at the detail and color that she puts into her subjects, you're actually going to think you're looking at a photograph instead of art. Adeline's also going to tell us how she was able to create a career out of combining her passion for both wildlife and art that has even led her to helping with conservation efforts, especially with crocodilians. But first, let's give a quick shout out to rodentpro.com. Their sponsorship, as always, is what helps us give back to conservation as a YouTube channel. Now, let's get to that talk with Adeline. I'm Mark Perpetua, and this is Croc Chat. All right, everybody. Today I have the pleasure of being joined by Adeline Robinson of Adeline Robinson Art. Adeline, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here today.
Well, I'm glad to hear you're excited. So, obviously, by the name Adeline Robinson Art, you are an artist. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your art background to get started with?
So I am currently a professional wildlife artist, and I've been doing this full-time since February of 2020. In terms of my background before that, a lot of people ask if I went to school or if I have an education in it, and the answer is no, I do not. I started working with animals when I was 14 and spent a lot of time hands-on with them. My first job was at a specialty aquarium shop, then a wildlife center, and then a specialty pet store. So I spent most of my career working with animals hands-on. And meanwhile, throughout high school, I did a lot of artwork, but once I graduated, I stopped for about 8 or 9 years and would maybe doodle once or twice a year or so. And it actually took me getting out of the industry and taking a job as a graphic designer for an auction house out of state to really miss it a lot. And I decided to kind of do a little bit of an art challenge to maybe get back into doodling again or drawing. And before I knew it, it kind of snowballed into what we're doing today. So it's kind of funny. It actually all almost happened by accident. It never was not quite intentional, but it's been an absolute wild ride, and I couldn't imagine it any other way, honestly.
That's awesome. Sometimes the best things in life happen by accident because you're too afraid to take a step, and then boom, all of a sudden you find out that it works. So wildlife art, that's obviously why I contacted you to be on a show called Croc Chat. The connection then would be wildlife. And would you say herps are a major part of the type of subject matter you like to draw?
Oh, for sure. They're pretty much number one. I am now starting to incorporate more aquatics and more birds and other animals I've worked with as well. But for the most part, reptiles have kind of been my main specialty for quite a few years. I've gotten the honor and privilege to be able to work with several crocodilian species, which absolutely cemented my love for reptiles even more. So I was really, really grateful and very lucky to be able to work with some really cool species. And it's really awesome because this whole journey has kind of led me to make connections and meet folks and be able to actually see these animals at different zoos, get reference photos. Sometimes I'm able to get really close and kind of get behind the scenes, basically access to be able to get reference photos of different crocs and crocodilians and animals. So it's been a wild ride.
That is crazy. Well, your picture behind you, obviously, we have a beautiful herp that looks like a marble salamander.
It is. Yes, it is.
Now, is that an original?
Yes, that's the original painting. It's I think 60 by 48.
Wow, big work.
Mm-hmm.
Big work, very lifelike, and that's what drew me to your artwork. I was never one for abstract. I like thinking if you can replicate something that looks like a picture, to me that's art. And that salamander is gorgeous. So when we take a look at that piece of art behind you, and you say you weren't formally educated in art or trained outside your high school art classes, most of that is just self-taught trial and error?
That is correct. Yeah. A lot of messing around with different mediums, different techniques. When I first started, for folks that remember when I had my first little booths and, was just kind of getting into doing art full time, there's a lot of different styles that I was experimenting and kind of playing with. I was doing some digital work, I was doing ink work and line work, and just kind of getting a feel for what I really enjoyed the most and what I wanted to do. And what I found is my favorite thing is to challenge myself. If I'm not challenged in a piece, usually like it's okay, it can be kind of fun, but it's not as satisfying as tackling a piece that might have some difficulty in it and then being able to come out the other side with a piece that I'm proud of. So the direction that I've kind of mostly gone in is trying to get as tight of details as possible and to work on my rendering skills. So in my mind, I still feel like a beginner, truthfully, because going into this, I didn't really have a plan. I didn't have a body of work. And so my first thought was, I really want to hone my skills as much as I can. And there's obviously many different components to what makes a really good piece of artwork. I've always been drawn to scientific illustration and just trying to show the natural beauty of the animals themselves. And so my goal has been to try to capture that as much as I can. But I feel like this year I've started to graduate towards other elements in it as well. Not just the tightness of details of the animals, but I really want to incorporate habitats, incorporate more lighting, more composition in my pieces, where I feel like a lot of the pieces that I've been working on previously are kind of mainly the animal subject itself. I'd really like to start pushing myself a little bit more forward that way. But yeah, it's just been a lot of experimenting. Like I said, playing with different techniques, playing with different mediums, and kind of finding what works.
I find that amazing, and it's probably the best way to go about a journey. I didn't like art in high school because I didn't like being limited with my creativity to having to follow the directions for a particular assignment.
Yeah.
And many times I got low grades just because I went off the path of what the art teacher wanted in the project. Mm-hmm. What is your favorite medium to work with now?
So I kind of have two. Copic markers are primarily what I work in. So a lot of the time-lapse videos that people see and a lot of the originals that I bring to the expos with me that are framed are done with Copic markers, which are fine art alcohol marker from Japan. And additionally, I also, like the guy behind me, work in acrylic paint. So acrylic paint is something that I've kind of played with a little bit on and off. To be honest, I wouldn't really consider myself a painter because I haven't been painting a whole lot and for very long. It'd be a little bit here and there. There might be like 1 or 2 paintings a year where a majority of it is Copic markers. But I'm hoping to kind of slowly work my way from acrylic to slow drying acrylic, which is what I'm working in now, to working in alkaline oils and kind of go in the oil paint direction. So it's something I really enjoy and I really would like to do. It is kind of a big investment though. And it does take a lot of space to be able to dry and a lot of time. And so I figured I'd start with acrylics, kind of start getting more of the basics of painting down, get more and more familiar with working in paint because it's the complete opposite as working with the markers. And from there, kind of slowly work my way towards oils as much as I can. So the slow drying acrylic is nice because it doesn't dry super fast. So it doesn't just instantly dry and you can't continue to blend or work the paint. You can still kind of do that depending on how much additive you put in. So the piece behind me, there were certain areas that I was working on. I actually added too much of a slowing agent and it took like 3 days for it to fully dry, which I thought was pretty neat. But yeah, those are the two main mediums.
Most of what I've seen of your work has been the Copic markers, and looking at the detail on that salamander and the size of it, I just assumed it was done marker. So finding out that's acrylic and that you do a lot of your painting from self-taught learning the shading and coloring, that's, in my mind, amazing. Anybody who has been watching Croc Chat for a little while, not that we have a huge audience, but we're growing, knows that I also like to do art. But yeah, I never got into painting either because it was too expensive for me when I was younger to buy all the paint, to buy canvases, and then mess up. And then what do you do with it? So the fact that you said, it's an expense, it's definitely appreciated. But so one of the ways I found about your art is through the reptile community, primarily through CrocFest. So one of the ties I'd like to make is how artwork can play a role in either reptile education or conservation. So what are some of the organizations outside of CrocFest first that you have done artwork for?
Oh, for sure. CrocFest is kind of my main one, to be honest. I have done some work with the Orient Society as well. And there's been a few other kind of, I guess, like more smaller fundraisers where it was like there's one meetup for wildlife and exotic veterinarians that were doing a fundraiser to help raise funds for conservation. And so I tend to, I guess, donate to a lot of one-offs. In the beginning, I used to do some donations for Rainforest Trust. So I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they buy up a lot of land. And so truthfully, primarily CrocFest is kind of the main one. But it's been a lot of fun working on different croc pieces for fundraising. Like the whole reason that I guess what really motivates me with my artwork is trying to find ways to give back to the animals themselves that I'm so passionate about and so into. And it can be a little bit tough because I am on an artist salary per se. But I would love to grow to the point of being able to either like start a foundation or continue to maybe work with even further some other conservation organizations and maybe get a little bit more involved with CrocFest and donating a little bit more if I can.
That's awesome. I don't know if you noticed what shirt I have on.
Yeah, I dig it. I was
My
going to say,
wife
you
did
got
tell me
shirts
it would be
too.
a little corny, but I did have a purpose. If we're going towards CrocFest and we're going towards conservation, I want everybody to be able to see. This is a T-shirt that Adeline did. Actually, I got to stand up because it's got a dual species. This was last winter. Last winter at Wild Florida, Siamese and Black Cayman. So I wore it for that purpose. That is how I discovered your artwork when I was looking for ways to help with conservation and conservation organizations. I found CrocFest, and it was an original Copic marker Black Cayman that you did. And I think that one ended up on a T-shirt at a St. Augustine event.
It did, yeah.
So that's what drew me to it. And how long have you been? How many CrocFest would you say, or how many years? It's 2 a year. So
to be honest, it may have been 2021 or 2. Okay. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. I know that Black Cayman was like a very early one. I also did an Orinoco piece that was donated. I did an Indian gharial that was donated, and then I did do a Siamese croc that was donated for, I'm trying to think of which one it was.
Well, the Siamese that you did in Copic marker, see, this goes to show I do follow you. The Siamese you did was for this same show.
Yes. Okay. I was like, I thought it was with the same shirt.
Last winter. And before that, you did a pencil drawing, but a large one of a Cuban.
I did. Yes. Thank you.
I was at that CrocFest. And I remember seeing that. I had some of my artwork there.
I've never actually been to a CrocFest. I'd really like to at some point.
I was going to ask if you have been to one, and what are the chances of you making one soon?
Yeah, I definitely would love to. That would be super awesome. At the moment, pretty much the only trips we usually take are kind of expo related. But I would love to be able to make a trip out just for that. That would be really fun, especially because they're always hosted at fun places like Wild Florida or St. Augustine. I still haven't been to St. Augustine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I really want to go. Anytime we go down to the Daytona Expo, I usually try to hit places up, but sometimes we don't always get to. But yeah, definitely a goal to get down there. And that's how I found out about your art as well, was through CrocFest, and I found you that way, and the shirts that you had done, and loved your work just as much too.
Well,
so it's super awesome for us to finally be able to like chit chat and meet. I feel like after I've been following your work as well and really enjoying it. The amount of detail you get in there
because, like I said,
awesome.
I love the coloring. I never got into color. Like I said, I was afraid of painting. I dabble a little bit. In fact, there's one behind me. I don't know if you can see it. It's not.
Yeah.
Pick it up. He's not done yet, and that's going on 2 years. That's the Siamese, or a year for the winter. That was supposed to be a Siamese. Obviously, never got done for CrocFest, and all I sent were pencil drawings. When I was a kid, there wasn't a lot of reference material. They didn't have the internet, and
Mhm.
so I used to get coloring books, but I wouldn't color in them. I would use those as my references. I grew up drawing Tom and Jerry, Sylvester and Tweety, Bugs Bunny, Daffy,
Oh, cool.
a lot of trucks, and it sounds like the same thing. I just loved to draw, was constantly doodling, getting in trouble in class for not paying attention.
Mhm.
I actually have, it's kind of a funny story, so I'm going to share it, although it's about you, not me. I was in a math class, 9th grade. I used to like to draw semis. I drew a Peterbilt, but I put it with big tires like the monster trucks back then.
Yeah, that's cool.
And the math teacher took it from me because I wasn't paying attention. And at the end of class, she asked me to stay. And she said, I normally would give you detention, but this picture came out good. And if you let me have it for my nephew and promise never to do it again, like, picture's yours. Thank you.
Wow. Oh, that's pretty
I had
funny.
a semi-commissioned piece of work in 9th grade that got me out of detention.
Nice.
But yeah, so
Right
I
on.
continued, and at the same thing, I left art, spent more time. My background's in biology. I've been working with crocodilians in my own care, my own collection since I was 19, and I'm gonna be 57 in 2 weeks. So I've been doing it for nearly 40 years, and I kind of left art. There wasn't time in the day to do everything, and it was seeing that I wasn't making enough money to donate yet in any other way. And that's when I decided to try artwork. And one of my good friends, said, your art's good enough. Try it. And the Gariel to St. Augustine 3 years ago was the first one, an ink line drawing that I sent to them. And since then, I've been a regular.
Oh, cool. So you said 3 years ago?
I think it was 3. I'm trying to remember
Yeah.
the order if I go back. I remembered the Siamese because it was just the last winter one.
Yeah.
This summer
Because
was
the Gariel was the first one that I had done too. So we did about the same time. That's awesome.
No. It was years goes back further than if you said 2020 because it was after the black came in. The next Gariel, they've done Gariel several times, and Gariel's up again this winter in December.
So that piece won the Copic Award for North America. And I have here, let me take a peek really quick because it's going to have the year on it.
Oh, really? You got it right there?
Let me see. So the Copic 2021 award is what it won. So 2021, yeah, my timeline is all over the place.
I probably only go back about 3 years then.
Yeah.
So that's
funny. In my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, the 2021 is 30 years ago.
Oh, I can tell you, if you do get to make it to CrocFest, you will be a celebrity. I know that from when I was there, everybody appreciates your work. You've been donating enough times, and your piece, at least the one I was at, I can't speak for any of the others, but this was the Tampa piece for the Cuban and the Americans. The one I did, the T-shirt, they they saved your drawing for last.
Oh, well, I'm super honored. I'm glad to be able to.
Money as far as artwork was concerned.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the exact accolades, but probably something along the lines of the one and only.
Yeah.
So you're well received in your artwork at CrocFest.
No, I'm grateful for what they do, and I'm grateful to be able to be involved and to try to be able to help and give back as much as I can, because I like these guys are so freaking cool, and you know, the more I can try to help, the better.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you have something planned for this winter? Did you already get the notice of what it is and when it is?
No, I usually don't get a notice.
They don't know either. You're going to find out the hard way like everybody else.
Usually, yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, let me know when the next one is or what species so I could get a jump on it. And I usually find out like the week of or something, and then end up cranking out a piece for it. Oh, I don't know, where am I?
Yeah, you disappeared.
Yeah, it disappeared.
You're fine. You're just disappeared. Yeah, they just announced, I think it was last week, December 13th.
Okay. Do we know the species yet?
St. Augustine, Indian Gario. I already have 2 pieces.
You're rocking and ready to roll. That's awesome.
Well, I told you earlier, I'm a school teacher. So in between my lunch breaks, I love to doodle, and it gets things started. And next thing you know, it turns into a drawing.
That's awesome.
So I have a couple done, and then I did one. So I mentioned I don't color. My color prints are done on a digital art pad.
Yeah.
It's more forgiving. You can delete, you can erase, you can do
sure.
it in layers. I once told an older gentleman than me who was familiar with a little bit of art that my work was digital art, and he must have thought I meant AI or something. He goes, "Oh, then it's not art." I'm like, "No, I still do all the coloring and the drawing. It's just more forgiving."
That. Yeah, it's
forgiving.
the
So
same amount of work you just can undo.
Right. The only problem with digital art is you don't have an original.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a big reason of why I kind of almost go all traditional now, unless I'm doing logo work or doing like specific sticker designs, or kind of like that shirt design where if it's meant to be printed on something specifically, then I'll do it digitally. But otherwise, like a lot of people, they have no idea how much work actually goes into it. And so I'm like, at that point, I might as well do traditional piece. That way you've got something in your hands and, people can see it.
Yeah. After I saw your artwork and showed it to my wife, she did buy me some alcohol markers. They're not Copic brand because those are very expensive, but I just haven't had the time to fool around with them.
Get this. I was actually sent off-brand Copics. So I was sent Ohuhu markers from the company to test out. And I actually did a piece that incorporates one half is Copic marker, the other half is the Ohuhu. And you can't really tell the difference in terms of the final outcome. So when I first started, the other brands of alcohol markers hadn't quite stepped it up yet to the fluidity and to the blending that the Copics have, but they've really stepped it up. I feel like you would really have a lot of fun with it. When I first started with it, I was kind of similar to you. I was only doing grayscale and drawings and like pencil work. I did not want to touch color. I didn't know anything about color, and it intimidated me, and I was like, I don't know about it. So the first set of markers I got was just grayscale, because tones and shading and highlights and how that all works. And so what I did is I just got a pack of grays and played with the grays. And after that, just ended up having fun with it and slowly incorporating like little bits of color here and there until I just ended up going all out and having a lot of fun with it. But I think you'd really like those a lot, especially with the detail work that you get in. If you combo some like micron pens and stuff in there, it'd be super, super cool to see you play with that.
Yeah, like I said, the problem is time.
Yeah, I get it.
I currently have 5 alligators and 2 crocodiles, along with snakes, iguanas, turtles, snapping
all
turtles.
Kinds of critters.
I do lectures at least once a week, if not twice a week, and in the summertime, it's 3 to 4 times a week.
Holy cow!
I own a piece of property, obviously, so there's maintenance of cages, there's lectures, there's full-time teaching. Yeah, it's hard to learn something. That's just why I told you I was afraid of the YouTube when I was younger. I used to have a big venomous collection, and if I could have gotten my diamondbacks and my gaboons and things like that on there, my biggest gator back then was 7 feet long.
Yeah,
those would have been the time to get into YouTube when it first started. But here we are.
Yeah. What kind of crocodilians or crocodiles you keep?
I have more or less crocodiles.
More or less.
Cool. I have always kept American alligators. I've had spectacled caiman, never had a dwarf of my own. Had spectacles back in the day. I mean, I'm old enough to go back when it was spectacles that were available because alligators were still endangered, or at least being treated as endangered. So I had a couple spectacled caiman. I had finally got permits for some alligators. And then more recently, I got a baby morelets from a breeder in Florida. And then all of a sudden I get a phone call that a zoo in Connecticut has a 4-footer, and they wanted to know if I would take it off their hands only because it was an aggressive feeder. They weren't afraid of it, but he wouldn't rest. So whenever anybody was at the zoo, it was swimming back and forth and wanting to eat. So the thing was, I don't think it was mentally stressed, but it was probably physically stressed, never relaxing.
Yeah.
I have that thing stationing and waiting for food to be thrown in its mouth, and she's a regular in my shows.
That's awesome.
She's a beautiful little croc.
It's
But
good. It's always nice hearing about animals that weren't quite where they needed to be, finding their homes where they can finally settle down and get comfortable. And, you know, basically it brings the best in them out, which is super awesome to hear.
Look, she has her moments. If you don't make her sit or stay, she still will lunge. You know, their crocs are very different from alligators. Alligators are like big puppies, I guess.
Oh yeah, they're like doop a doop a doop.
Steve Irwin used to call them frogs with teeth.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, I could see it.
So anyway, so what are the chances of you making a CrocFest?
It honestly kind of depends on the time of year. Usually winter is a little slow for us, and then the beginning of summer is slow for us because that's in between expo season. So things can be a little bit tricky. And then at the same time, expo season is usually very busy. So it's kind of like a expo season, the floodgates are open, and then in the winter things really slow down. And so that's when I do a lot of focusing on getting new pieces made to prep for the next expo season. But I would love to. I definitely think it would be super fun and awesome. I've been wanting to make it for years, so I'd love to make it down at some point.
Well, you just got back from Tinley, and I know you had a lot of prep to get ready for that. So obviously you worked really hard. Hopefully that went well for you. And then you still have St. Louis coming up, right? So you do a lot of the NARBCs.
Yeah, so I do all of the NARBCs. I do the Daytona Expo. I do the Southeast Reptile Expo. We randomly made it out to the Reptile Super Show in Anaheim, California for the first time. I'd never been to California before, and just got back from a trip from there as well. I'd like to make it out to those shows. I've been wanting to for a long time, but it's a 40-hour drive, and so it makes it a little bit tricky. Where previously I didn't really have a super reliable vehicle to be able to make it out that way. So we're going to see if we could try to make January happen. But yeah, those are the expos that we're doing, and I've got one more. So I've got two for the rest of the year. I've got St. Louis, and then Sewer Fest in Sturtevant, Wisconsin.
Yeah, I don't get to many of the CrocFest either, simply because of the time of year they're held.
Yeah,
like the summer one, teachers get summer vacation, but in New York, our schools don't end until the end of June.
Really?
Usually have it in the end of May or mid-June. And it's just too hard to get away for a weekend, or too expensive for just a weekend.
Yeah.
I'd go and make a vacation out of it and stay a whole week and do other things. So the Tampa one, they actually scheduled, it was the day after school ended or the weekend after school ended. So
really?
We finished school, we packed up, jumped in an airplane, hung out in Clearwater, went to Tampa, then went down to the Keys to visit some friends.
That's cool. That had to be a fun trip.
We made a good trip out of that. But I am making it to this December. So if you get a chance, there'll be fellow artists there, myself. And do you ever talk with Sherry Spencer?
Yeah, she's super, super sweet. I've met her a couple times at the Daytona show. I didn't see her at this last one.
Well, she said she does every winter since she's from Florida. She does every winter croc.
Yeah.
So she'll be there, and it should be a fun time. That's at St. Augustine.
Yeah. So again, still gotta make it there. That would be super awesome.
Well, if you do, it would be great to see all three of us together. I'm going to bring all three shirts so that we could take pictures with them.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'll definitely keep you posted on how that goes. We do plan on going down in November, so I don't know if I'll be able to make it back out in December. So I'll have to kind of play that one by ear, but I'll definitely keep you posted and let you know.
Well, if you don't make CrocFest, at least go to St. Augustine, meet John Brugan. He's the director, and I'm sure he'll recognize your name. And it's a great place. And of course, you got a zip line over the top of the crocodiles.
Oh, that's cool.
I never did that. My wife did.
Oh, that's awesome.
My wife did it when I wasn't with her one year.
Really? Wow.
She hasn't been in the park with me because she knows I spend too much time talking to other people about crocodiles and just staring at them. But the one trip that they went to St. Augustine without me, she's like, "Oh, we're going to go zip line." I'm like, "Oh, now you go to the park."
That's funny.
So, all right. Well, I want to thank you so much for spending time with me. I'm hopefully you will agree to me getting some pictures of your artwork so that we can edit them in when I put this all together.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
If
Do
there's
you have any
anything
requests for
special.
any species?
Um, most of what I've seen online is great. If you wouldn't mind me just grabbing that. This way it saves you a lot of time.
Yeah,
But of
sweet.
course, crocodilians. But the other thing I forgot to ask you, you're also a big equestrian, right?
Hmm.
I see the horse behind you.
Oh yeah.
So you have your own horse?
I do. Yeah. Yeah,
So
we're actually this weekend we're going to be going out camping and going out riding with some friends, which is going to be fun. I haven't gotten a whole lot of riding time in because I've been gone for so long. So actually, I've been gone for 7 weeks in the last like 2 months because of the expos, and so I've really missed being able to get out and ride. So I'm pretty stoked about that. But actually, I started a group for equestrians that are into herping as well, called Herpers on Horseback, and I've got a friend down in Georgia, and she'll send me pictures. It's kind of like I guess maybe a bit of a trend or a thing that people do when you're riding a horse, where you get a rider's view, and it's called a between the ears shot. And she sends me between the ear shots of her horse checking out alligators on their property.
that's cool.
Which is super fun. So I'm like, oh man, you're combining my two favorite things. Like you're riding and finding some cool herps at the same time.
No, that's awesome. So yeah, I'm definitely going to include your website in case anybody who hasn't heard of or seen your artwork, put that out there for you. Herpers on Horseback.
Yeah, it's just
We'll
kind of
make
like
sure
a random.
make sure that that's it. I love the name. The name's
Yeah.
perfect.
And then I think you're in art. Are you in the art collective? I think you are, right? The Herpetological Art Collective.
If I am, I'm not sure. There's so many
Okay.
groups that people
There
join,
is.
and I forget if I don't see them. It might be that one of them just shared one of my Croctober posts. I've been trying to post every day, and I
I think
did
so.
a digital piece for the CRC in Belize,
Oh,
and
cool.
it's an American crocodile, at least just a shoulder mount type, with a ribbon with a gold medal that says #1. And
That's
it's because
awesome.
they're doing a 5K run for a charity drive to should say fundraiser, and they wanted a little bit of a prize.
That's so cool. That's awesome.
So they'll have that. I did a little cartoon for them too, jogging with the logo on their shirt.
Yeah.
So that shows up every now and then. We'll see what happens as they get closer to the exact date. It should be at the end of the month, so it's coming up.
That's so neat. Where's that at? Where's the run at?
Placencia, Placencia, Belize.
Holy cow. That's
Yeah, I would
super.
love to go, but I don't think I'm flying.
Yeah, it's a little tricky.
My knees don't let me run anymore either.
Hmm.
But yeah. So again, thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate it. We're going to put some of your artwork out there as far as species, any crocodilians, unless you have something special that you want to highlight.
Oh, honestly, like I think a majority of the croc pieces are my favorite out of all the work that I've done. Truthfully,
I mean,
I'm pretty happy with the croc pieces.
You just Google CrocFest artwork, and a lot of your stuff pops up.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I'll have to do that.
All
Thank
right.
you so much for having me. It's so fun to like actually chit chatting. I'd love to like chat more and pick your brain too about about artwork and more about crocodilians. That's super fun. Yeah, I would love to make it in December. I don't know if I'll be able to, but I'll keep you posted.
All right. Well, after that, I'm retiring in June and hopefully relocated. Hopefully, I'll be making every one of them after that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That's the goal.
You get to enjoy some sunshine and man,
and hurricanes, but you take the worst with the best.
Yeah.
All right, Adeline. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Have a great night.
You too. Bye-bye.